Hello, everybody. Welcome. I hope everybody is doing well tonight. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with us tonight. This is our Missing Person Monday live stream. We do this every Monday just to try to bring awareness to mostly cold cases, missing person cold cases, if I can talk tonight, as usual. And once again, I apologize for the scratchy voice, the nasally, between the dust and the farmers are harvesting the crops around here, and the allergies. So the allergies are all wound up again. So anyway, hope everybody has had a good week, a good weekend. It's been a long week. Lots of stuff going on, but we're gonna have some conversations, learn about some missing persons. Please, whatever you do, the most important thing you can do is share this anywhere and everywhere you can, all your social media platforms, so as many people as possible can see this and learn about these cases, because it does make a difference, the sharing. Also, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're watching replay, thank you. We love our replay crew. Please leave a comment below. Welcome to everybody in chat. I try to put everybody's comments up so far during the intro, because once again, my computer, StreamYard on my computer is not working, so I'm going to have to work off my phone as far as reading comments and doing things. So anyway, so let's see who all is here once again. Julian is here. Always good to see Julian. Miss Lisa Joe is here. Miss Paula is here. Welcome, Miss Paula. Always good to see Miss Paula. Chris is here. Miss Barbara is here. Hello, dear. I hope you're doing well, ma'am. Chris says he said he was excited to see if I get it to come up, if he has heard of any of these cases. Yeah, I decided to do Wichita. We spent, for anybody who's new here, we spent the last few months going through all the 50 states, featuring 5 to 7 cases from each state. And we'll probably at some point just have to start, we'll start all over with the states and feature more, because unfortunately there's so many cases out there that need to be shared, need to have awareness. So we just unfortunately can't keep up. But we're going to do some cities for a little while. And please, once again, if you're in chat, you can, if you have a particular city in any state that you would like to see featured, missing persons from that particular city, please put it in chat. If you're watching replay, put it in the comments. I will try to remember to do a community post on the community tab. You can put it there. If you're on Facebook, you can reach out to me on Facebook with any suggestions, and we'll just take it from there. Hello, Butterfly Kisses. Good to see you. Good to see Mustang. Had some nice chat with Mustang last night and some others that were in there. She did a live stream just to chill and chat, live stream. Enjoyed it so much. We talked about some music, talked about some football, talked about a lot of things. So please do check out Mustang, check out Miss Paula, all the other wonderful creators, our friend channels who also come in and support this channel. We appreciate it so much. Let's see, I don't want to miss anybody before we get started. I'm just going to shut down StreamYard on my computer because I think it slowed everything down. And Miss Far, it'll come up. Oh, where'd it go? Come on. Has been a member or gifted one Southern Gal True Crime membership. And I think, hold on, it might have jumped on me. That's the one I was going to do first too. But also, Miss Far has been she gifted 2 memberships. Hold on. Everything keeps jumping on me. Oh my goodness, I apologize. I thought I saw where she had been a member. There it is. That's the one I was trying to find. Miss Far has been a member for 11 months. So thank you, Miss Far, for the continued support. Get down to where I can see it. Also, I think she's gifted 2 Southern Gal memberships. There's one, there's the other one. So thank you so much, Miss Far. We appreciate it. So you know what time it is. Thank you so much, Miss Far. That is so greatly appreciated. Everything goes right back into the channel. Once again, I apologize. I'm trying to work off my phone here. So thank you, Miss Far, for everything that you do. Let me get back down to make sure I didn't miss anything. Everything is jumping. I hate having to try to read stuff off my phone, which I feel like my big fat face is in the camera trying to do this. Let me get down. I know some more people snuck in here, and then we'll get started. Okay, that's where I was at, I believe. Oh, Lordy. It's hot in here tonight. How's everybody's weather been? It's been hot here in Arkansas again. I'm ready for what little bit of Chris mentioned it. He said he's excited for fall coming soon because it's almost cold weather. Yeah. Here in Arkansas, we may, if we're lucky, we may get a couple of days of fall. But hey, we'll take what we can get. Welcome. Oops, almost put you in timeout. Sleuthy sweetheart, good to see you, dear. Let's see. Miss Paula says she likes autumn. It's football time. Absolutely. Warm days and cool nights. There's Miss Z from Child Junkies United. Please do check out Miss Z and Doc. They do good work over there. I caught a little bit of their live stream they did the other night. I'm going to have to go back and watch Replay Crew or be a Replay Crew to watch what I missed. Just getting caught up. Yeah, but I'm doing good, Chris. Aside from the scratchy voice and the nasal snifflies, I'm doing good. Are you still in Facebook? Dadgummit. Are you still in Facebook jail, Miss Barbara? Oh my gosh. Miss Barb has been put in Facebook jail again. For what? Simply sharing missing persons flyers once again. I don't understand that. All the crap that you see on the Facebooks, and then they put somebody in Facebook jail for just sharing missing persons flyers. Welcome, John. Good to see you. Welcome back. Yes, Miss Farr is awesome. You are most welcome, Sleuthy. Oh, goodness. Maybe it'll do better if I try to use my stylus, maybe. Let's see. Just make sure I got everybody. Oh, there's Junior. Hello, sir. Good to see you, Junior. He is in Michigan tonight. I hope you're doing well, sir. Yeah, Ms. Z says she is staying in the air conditioning because Texas is hot. Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely, I agree. It's hot here in Arkansas, too. Miss Louise is here. Hello, my dear. Always good to see you. Just making my way down. Yep, you can tell me. I can't see it on StreamYard side, but you can, if you guys can see it on the YouTube side, who got the memberships that were so kindly gifted by Miss Farr. Yep. See, and I not too long ago, I think probably maybe the last time that Miss Barbara got put in Facebook jail, I also was in Facebook jail, and all I do on my Southern Gal account is share cases and missing persons, things of that nature. And for some reason, I got put in Facebook jail. There's our Doodle. Hello, ma'am. Good to see you. Please do check out Miss Doodle. She is a wonderful human being. She posted today. Today, I was on Facebook earlier, and she had Miss Doodle made a post that she wouldn't be around much today because she was going to be out doing random acts of kindness for people, and it almost made me cry. Made me tear up. We all need to do a little bit more of that, in my opinion. So Lisa Joe made it back. Hello, hello. Miss Paula says everyone is here so far. Excellent. We love seeing everybody here. Oh, my nose is itching. Yes, we do. Ms. Z says we need to protest for Miss Barb to get her out of Facebook jail. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna. Miss Barb invited me to come be in Facebook jail with her, and I said only if Doodle or Miss PJ will bring us cupcakes or cupcakes, pie, cake, whatever. Can smuggle us in some good stuff. Excellent. So far says, oh, I'll be Frank, Mother of Dragons, and Nicole Watt. Welcome to the paddock. Well, so welcome to our new members. Once again, another big thank you to Miss Farr. You are most welcome. As Thing said, thanks for joining my live last night. Anytime, ma'am. Had a good time, good conversation. All right. Miss Lisa Joe says, right about now, I just want to go throw sticks in front of rollerblades. Oh my goodness. Do people still rollerblade? Goodness. Yes, we'll have a protest for Miss Barbara. Absolutely. Ms. Z said, do you want us to bring those baked goods with files for the breakout? Absolutely. We will break Miss Barbara out of jail. Okay, I think I am caught up. So I'll turn my camera on since I'm not leaning right into it, and we will get started. Once again, thank you to everyone who is here. And tonight we're going to be featuring, I think I have 5 cases from Wichita, Kansas. We had talked about Wichita the other, probably last Monday on the live stream. I talked about doing Wichita, and I had a list started in my handy dandy notebook of some other suggestions. Somebody had suggested like around the Amarillo, Lubbock area in Texas. But Josh the Posh, I think he's going to be gone for a couple of weeks. He had I was watching. Josh has been around for a long time. I've been seeing him in chats. He modded for Mr. Steve and a bunch of people. Great guy. And he just recently got his channel up and going, and he's done 3 live streams so far. I'm telling you guys, go watch it because he's featured 3 cases. It started out with one case, Dorian, I can't even remember his last name, Thomas, a little boy, 9-year-old boy that had gone missing. And then as he was looking into that case, he found these other 2 missing homicide cases. And just go to Josh's channel. It's called Where Lavender Grows. Anybody with a wrench can throw the link in there. Absolutely. I'm telling you, it blew my mind. I've been thinking all these cases, in my opinion, have to be connected somehow, some way. But just go watch the 3 lives that Josh has done, and you'll be hooked. You'll be intrigued. I can't wait to see what else he digs up when he gets back from whatever he's doing. He said he would be out of the country for a couple of weeks. But as soon as he gets back, I hope he gets back into it with these cases, because it is very, very intriguing. Anyway, so tonight, first we're going to start with, and I'm going to do my best not to butcher this name, Manouchehr Nafar. He has been missing since February 25th, 1983 from Wichita, Kansas. He is a white male. He was just 25 years old when he went missing. He was 5'7" tall, 150 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He had a mustache at the time of his disappearance. He has scars on both knees and on his chin. His nickname is Mike, and he is originally from Iran. And he was last seen wearing a blue denim jacket, a black long sleeve t-shirt, and blue jeans. So there's not a whole lot of this basic information. Once again, for anybody new here, the basic information comes from the Charlie Project. And then I get on the Google machine and try to find some online sources to go with it, interviews with family members, law enforcement who worked on the case, and the updates in the case. Sometimes I can find extra stuff. Sometimes you can't. That's the nature, especially with these cold cases. But we work with what we got, work with what we have, because it's better than nothing. So Mike was last seen in Wichita on February 25th, 1983. He had spent the previous night at his girlfriend's apartment, then left in the morning to go to his own home in southeast Wichita to change clothes. He had overslept. He had missed his morning classes at Wichita State University, but he did plan to work that day. It says to work for a job that day. So he apparently never arrived home. His yellow 1974 Chevy van, I know Miss Doodle's going to have a comment about a creeper van, was found abandoned and burning. So that's always a big red flag, at a car wash in Augusta, Kansas, at around midnight that night. Now, I don't know how far away Augusta, Kansas is from Wichita, so somebody can look that up. So it was found abandoned and burning at a car wash in Augusta at around midnight that night. The van's license plate was missing. The license plate has never been located. Authorities believe that Mike was the victim of a homicide. They are trying to locate his relatives to get DNA from them to compare any unidentified remains that they find. And hopefully these other articles are going to come up. Because once again, my farm signal, you know, anybody who's been here knows how my farm signal is. But I believe the trouble that they're having with the DNA is that most of his family is still back in Iran. So they're having a little bit of trouble, like finding them, getting in touch with them, any of them, to get any DNA to compare to any remains that are found. So it's just a very unfortunate situation. If I can get the article to come up, I think I found an article through Web Sleuths that I love to use at Web Sleuths. Usually, if you can't find anything anywhere else, you can at least find a little bit of something on Web Sleuths. Once again, we'll see if the article comes up. So while I'm waiting to see if it's going to load, come on. Check your comments. What are we protesting? I don't know what we're protesting, Miss Paula. We're protesting that Miss Barbara's in Facebook jail. That is what we are protesting. Yeah, that's what we're protesting. It's oh shoot, sorry. It is Where Lavender Grows is Josh's channel. Ooh, the article did come up. Sleuthy said, and I think Sleuthy is Stormy, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Says missing as long as I have been alive plus a year. I know, it's so long. Thank you, Ms. Z says, I'm assuming I'll ask about the distance between Augusta and Wichita. She says around 21 miles. So that's not too awful far. Not too awful far. Thank you, Ms. Z. Hey, CJK. If I can get you to come up. There you are. Good to see you. Welcome. Miss Paula wants to know if it's considered suspicious. Absolutely. In my opinion, yes. I always say unless we find out that they left of their own accord, I consider all missing persons suspicious. That's just me, though. All right, so let's see what this article has to say. Well, I thought it loaded. Apparently it didn't. But yes, I consider all missing persons suspicious. Thank you, Miss Doodle. There is Miss Stormy's channel. And there is, thank you, Mustang, there is Josh's channel. Please do go over there, subscribe. I'm telling you, he's done 3 live streams so far. Thank you, Miss Doodle. There is Trial Junkies United, Miss Z and Doc, their channel. Yep. Stormy says he looks so happy and fun. Yeah, he just looks like just a happy, nice guy. And once again, it's not loading. So it just has a snippet on from, I guess, the article here on Web Sleuths. It says it's been more than 36 years, and this was posted in 2019. Since Wichita State student Manouchehr Nafar vanished. Once again, on February 25th, 1983, his yellow van was found abandoned and on fire at a car wash on the south end of Augusta. License plate was missing. The plate was SGM 37993 with expiration year of 1983. According to government records, on that day, he was supposed to go home on the southeast side of Wichita, but police are not sure that he made it there. He did miss classes at WSU. He was supposed to go look for a job. His family was last known to be in Iran. Police and the U.S. Department of State have tried to track them down to get DNA, samples, but they have not been successful. Once again, if he is deceased, of course, the DNA, having a family member's DNA to compare, or they would have to have family members' DNA to compare to any remains that were found. So here's part of an article. Police seeking a family of missing man. I don't know if it has any other information that we haven't already gone over. 25-year-old Wichita State University student, Manouchehr Nafar, who went by Mike, has been missing, let's say, under very suspicious circumstances. Yeah, I think the burning van is very suspicious. For 37 years now, and this post is from 2021. Sadly, the Kansas Bureau of Investigation has not been able to communicate with any relatives of Mike's. Law enforcement is hoping a family member will volunteer to donate a DNA sample to help locate him, or help give them some answers as to what happened to him. Sorry, I'm sweating. It's hot in here. So on the morning of Friday, February 25th, he left his girlfriend's apartment. He missed morning classes at the university. It says, but it is unclear if he had already missed those classes from oversleeping at his girlfriend's house, or if he just decided to skip the classes altogether and focus on searching for a new job. His plan was to at least head home to change, but no neighbors reported seeing him that Friday morning at his Southeast Wichita residence, which was a duplex located off of North Green Street. And once again, later that day was when they found the van in flames near the car wash on the south side of Augusta. License plate had been removed. It was never been found. The license plate was registered in Sedgwick County, which is where Wichita is located. No remains were found in or around the vehicle. Says the KBI has been attempting once again to locate his family to get DNA. None of his family members have come forward to offer any DNA samples. So that's about all. Not really anything new. It's the same Charlie Project information. Yeah, just a sad case and very little information. And unfortunately, like I said, with the DNA, lack of DNA from his family, it's going to be very hard. So the article finally did come up, but it doesn't have any other information aside from what we've went over. Sad situation. Thank you very much. Miss Doodle's got, if I can get it to come up, Miss Paula's link. Mustang has got Miss Doodle's link. Doodle says, please raise a toe if I missed any channels. Oh, goodness. John wants to know how long was he in Kansas or America? I don't think it said. Let me go back to the Charlie Project information. I don't think it said. Doesn't say, unfortunately. And I was not able to find, like I said, a whole lot of, let me try looking one more time, but I was not able to find a whole lot of any extra articles with any other information. We'll check one more time. Like I said, with these colder cases, it's just so frustrating when there's not a whole lot of information. Nope. Nothing is coming up. Nothing at all. All right. Let's get caught up on comments one more time and we'll move to the next one. Yep. Ms. Z says that it's sad to think he could have been found and due to no DNA has not been identified. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is a possibility. Stormy says, could he have shamed his family and they don't want to help? That anything is possible. Anything is possible. They said that none of his family has come forward to with any information to submit any DNA. So, you know, it's just, that's, once again, I keep saying this, the most frustrating part is this lack of information that would help fill in, or maybe fill in some gaps, help answer some of these questions. Yes, it is absolutely heartbreaking. I don't know. John says student visa. It did not say. Did not say, unfortunately. Yeah. Ms. Z says, or maybe his family didn't even know where he was. He could have left and never told anyone, or maybe he gave a false name. That is also possible. Because they were apparently, CJK says they were never able to compare DNA. How could they not find his family? Apparently, most of his family was still back in Iran. And they said the State Department, U.S. State Department, I guess they will be the ones to make contact with whoever they needed to make contact with in Iran to try to find his family. And apparently they couldn't find them. Any family, no family came forward. So that is it. Yeah, CJK says they can do the familial DNA via ancestor sites, I would think. How very sad. Yeah, but that would only if he had any members of his family in the U.S. who had submitted any of their DNA to any of these databases that do this genetic genealogy. And who knows if any, it did not say once again if any of his other family members had come to the U.S. or not. What was your question, Miss Paula, about the suspicious? There's Miss PJ. Hello, hello. Yes, please do all the things. Absolutely. Good to see you, Miss PJ. Please do check out Miss PJ. She does wonderful work on her channel. I don't know what that link is, but where'd it go? Everything jumped again. That's what I was trying to click on. I can't see. I'm assuming it's somebody's channel, but I can't read that. I'm trying to read with my old eyes. I can't read off my phone. That's why I would love to have a StreamYard up on my computer, but it won't come up. Yes, very sad. That is also true. That is true. It didn't mention it, but that is true. Very possible. Okay, I think I'm caught up. So we will go to the next one. See if we can do this without throwing myself out. So this is Ashley Brittany Caldwell. She's been missing since May 28th, 2017 from Wichita. She's a Black female. She was just 28 years old when she went missing. She was 5'2" tall, 130 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. And Charlie Project does not have any last known clothing, jewelry, anything of that nature. Very little information once again. Ashley was last seen with an adult male in Wichita on May 28, 2017. She disappeared shortly before she was supposed to testify in an upcoming trial, and we have a lot of these kind of cases that we come across. But it is unclear if that had anything to do with her case. Once again, could be something, could be nothing. But she has never been seen or heard from again. She left behind 5 children. Her family describes her as a very social person. She regularly kept in touch, and they do think, unfortunately, that she did come to some kind of harm, and her case remains unsolved. So if you have any information, you can call the Wichita Police Department at 316-268-4111. So this could either be a case of, and this is just my opinion, just my thoughts, but feel free to put them in chat or in comments if you're watching Replay Crew. This could either be, they said she was supposed to testify. Well, first of all, there's 3. It could have nothing to do with the trial or anything. Or she was supposed to testify at the trial. Whoever she was supposed to testify, something nefarious could have happened. I'll just put it that way. Or maybe she was afraid that something was going to happen to her if she testified. She could have been threatened in some way, and she just left of her own accord to be safe, so that nothing would happen to her. Those are the 3 possibilities I come up with this case. Because let me see if I could find anything with her, any additional information. Just not a whole lot from KAKE.com, which I'm assuming, I think it's one of the local Wichita news sites. It says the family of Ashley is hoping, and this is from 2018, is hoping someone can come forward with details on what happened to her. Ashley was last seen in Wichita on May 28th, 2017. She was a mother of 5 kids. She was a very social, and this is according to her cousin, one of her cousins. Her cousin, who they did not identify, said that the cousin spoke to Ashley regularly. The cousin saw Ashley a week before she went missing. Once again, she was supposed to testify in a trial, and her family believes that someone may have harmed Ashley. So they didn't say, I'm just going to go off the assumption, and we all know what we do when we assume things, but maybe her family believes that she was harmed because she was supposed to or was going to testify in this trial. So it does say, and I don't know what, it does say that the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office has actually listed on its most wanted list. Deputies tried to serve a warrant at her last known address in June of 2017, but they could not find her in the Wichita at this time. Once again, this article is from 2018. At that time, the Wichita Police Department did have an active attempt to locate her, and I don't know if it's for this warrant, whatever this warrant is for. Did not say what it was for. So I don't know about that. See if it doesn't have any other additional information besides her vitals, her stats. She's sad, obviously very sad. She left behind 5 children, a family. It's just, let me make sure I didn't have anything else on her. No, that is all I had. Let's see. Get back in your comments for a minute. Turn off my camera for a minute while I'm get me a drink. I don't know if you hear, my stomach is growling. I don't know why it's growling. I ate supper. Oh, that was your channel, Miss Peach. Okay, I did. I couldn't read it, but once again, Miss Paula, what was the question, honey? You can just put it in the chat again. If I missed it, I apologize. Okay, I see it now. Okay, I got it now. You changed the thing. Is LT lighting the way home? Okay, I got you. I got you. See, I'm a little slow. You know, I'm a little slow. Yeah, to me, yeah, red flags. Stormy says it's got red flags. Yes, do check out our friend Arctic. Chris says, going back to the case we talked about before this one, he says, I'm familiar with the car wash and its location. So is it in a busy part of town where, I mean, I wonder how long it took for somebody to notice that it was sitting there, you know, burning, the van. Yes, Ashley is a very beautiful young lady. Oh, I almost put Miss Barbara in timeout. So I hate having to work off my phone. John says, what was the trial case about? It did not say. Once again, very limited information. Just that she was supposed to testify at a trial. So, but it didn't say what the trial was about, who was on trial, unfortunately. Yes, definitely considered suspicious. Yep, she was very, very pretty. Hey, Miss Julie, good to see you, ma'am. Always good to have Julie's guitar here. Yep, Ms. Z says, once again, let's see if I can back up to the other slide. In Mike's case, you also have to take into account with a car wash is how populated, how populated when the event happened, so much could have been built up around it now. Absolutely. Yep, and going back to Ashley's case, Chris says on the Ashley's case, red flag is that no mom is going to abandon 5 kids. Absolutely. Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say no mom, but I'm going to say 99.999% of moms would not abandon their children. Absolutely. We all know that there are some out there that would, but for the most part, yeah. Yeah, for the most part, no, yeah, mom's not going to abandon their children. Absolutely. Miss Julie said, hope everyone had a beautiful weekend. You also. Oh, well, congratulations are in store for Miss PJ. She says on September 10th, 2025, my daughter had a baby boy, Marcus, 8 pounds, 6 ounces. Congratulations. Does that mean we can call you Grandma PJ now? Grandma PJ? No, seriously. Congratulations. Absolutely, always justice for Timmy D's. Yeah, Miss Barb hasn't reached now. She can throw it in, or anybody can. Please check out Timmy's legacy for Miss Barb. She is still trying to get justice for her son Timmy D's. Your first grandbaby. Spoil that grandbaby. Just trying to get caught up. CJK says he's heard of, they've heard of Ashley's case. Excellent. All right, I think I am caught up. So I will mark that if I can, so I can find it later. So next, we have babies. I think we have two or three younger ones tonight. Let me get his information up. This is little baby Vincent Moore. Gosh, look at that little face. I just want to cry looking at that little face. So little baby Vincent has been missing since July 11th, 2015 from Wichita. He was just 4 months old. Sorry, my hair's getting 4 months old. He was, stats on him, 14 pounds. He had black hair and brown eyes. So it says Vincent was last seen leaving his father's house, obviously not alone, near 31st Street South and Hydraulic in Wichita in the early morning hours of July 11th, 2015. He was accompanied by his father, Gary Mackenzie Moore Jr. The smaller picture on the slide is Mr. Moore. Gary was carrying a blue and black floral print diaper bag. And after he left with the father, or after the father took him and left, he has never been seen or heard from again. So on June 5th, baby Vincent's mother, Michelle Mendez, dropped Vincent and his 2-year-old brother off for a visit with their father. Gary took both children to Texas sometime in mid to late June, and they stayed there until July 9th. They then returned to Wichita. During this time, Michelle, the mother, made repeated attempts to get in touch with Gary and to see the children. She was unable to reach them. So at the end of the month, she notified the police. So Gary, the father, was arrested at a traffic stop in Wichita on July 29th, which is 18 days after little baby Vincent was seen. So he claimed that he gave baby Vincent back to Michelle, back to the mom. But mom says, he did not. She doesn't know. He came and got the baby, went to Texas. I think it said to Texas. After that, she says, I've never seen him again. He did not bring me the baby back. So she said, he did not bring him back. She doesn't know where he is. And she did pass a polygraph in the case. So she did take a polygraph. She did pass it. Once again, we know that polygraphs aren't that, they're not admissible in court. They can be kind of sketchy as far as reliability, but she did pass. In 2014, Gary had been sentenced to probation for misdemeanor battery on Michelle, baby Vincent's mother. He was ordered to pay court costs. He was ordered to report to a probation officer. He was ordered to wear a GPS tracking device on his ankle and to have no contact with Michelle at all. So in August of 2015, Gary was sentenced to a year in jail for violating his probation. He had failed to pay his court cost. He cut off his tracking device before he traveled to Texas. And he had also married Michelle, the mother, in February of 2015. So this is after he went missing. Oh, no, maybe it was, no, hold on. July. No, so this is before, so they had the violation, the protection order in place before Vincent went missing, because It says he married Michelle in February of 2015. Vincent went missing in July of 2015. So that violated the no contact order. So in May of 2016, he pleaded guilty to tampering with electronic monitoring equipment and was sentenced to additional time in prison. According to court documents, Michelle, the mother, was concerned for the safety of both the children when they were in Gary's care. She filed for a protective order. So this says she filed for a protective order on June 18th, 2 weeks after she last saw the boys. So did she have two? Because she said they got married in February of 2015 in violation of the no contact order. It's very confusing. So she filed for a protective order on June 18th, 2 weeks after she last saw the boys. In her application, she wrote that Gary had, quote, never intentionally hurt Vincent and his brother, but stated that Gary was, quote, rougher than he intends to be, and that he tried to use the children to control her. She said she thought that it was, quote, only a matter of time before he did hurt the children. And so in August of 2015, the Kansas Department of Child Protective Services removed Vincent's brother from Michelle's custody, placed him in foster care. At a child in need of care hearing, which was held in October, DCF officials said that there was, quote, clear and convincing evidence that Vincent is deceased. So baby Vincent's relatives have criticized the police investigation, saying that they don't think authorities are trying hard enough to find little baby Vincent. No one has faced any charges in connection with his disappearance, and it remains unsolved. So once again, if you have any information, the Wichita Police Department, 316-268-4221. Let me see what I was able to find. So this article is from kwch.com, and as always, all the links to all the online sources I use are in the description box. It is from July of 2023, so fairly recent article. It just disappeared. Hopefully it will come back up. Oh, come on. You were just up. Get caught up on your comments again. Down to where I was at. There we go. Yes, thank you. There is, if it'll come up, if I don't put it in timeout, I almost put doodle in timeout. There is Timmy's Legacy link. Oh, so you're going to be Gigi? So we can call you Gigi. I'm going to start calling you Gigi. So caught it while I know that little, look at the little face wants to make me cry. Yes, he is adorable. Yep. Oh, come on. Why won't you? Trying to get it to, okay, here we go. Maybe it won't disappear. Okay, so once again, this is from July 2023. The Wichita Police Department is asking for information that could lead them to find 4-month-old Vincent Moore. July 11th of 2023 marked 8 years since he disappeared. He was last seen on the morning of July 11th, 2015, around 31st Street South in Hydraulic. He had a blue and white floral diaper bag with him, with the father. For the Wichita police statement says for 8 years, since this disappearance, the family and friends of Vincent and the Wichita community have not had answers as to why he disappeared. He will be 8 years old today, so he'll be about 10 years old now. The Wichita Police Department has not forgotten Vincent, and we are still seeking answers in his case. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Vincent, we ask that you contact, once again, the Wichita Police Department investigators at 316-268-4379. You can also email the cold case unit at coldcase@wichita.gov. If you wish to remain anonymous, you can also send tips to Crime Stoppers by calling 316-267-2111. And it also mentions this something called a P3 mobile app. I've been meaning to look that up because in a lot of these cases, it says you can download this free P3 mobile app to send tips in. I just haven't done it yet. So I didn't have a whole lot, unfortunately. Oh, wait, maybe I have another article, if it'll come up once again. Yes, absolutely. Yes, CJK says makes me angry. Absolutely. Okay, my article's coming up. Maybe I shouldn't say that too loud. Yes. And there are so many, I had so many, because I got the picture from Charlie Project, but they had so many pictures on his Charlie Project page, and they were all so freaking cute. I had a hard time picking just one, but yep, he is definitely a cutie. Ms. Z says, doesn't intend. Those aren't comforting words. Yeah. Definitely heartbreaking. Hey, Frank Meister, good to see you, sir. If you'll come up. Oh, once again, my fingers. Good to see you, sir. Please do check out Frank Meister. Good to see you here, sir. Yep, that is true. I thought about that also. CJK says he could be anywhere between Kansas and Texas. Way too much open land. Absolutely. Excuse me. What is this that's coming up? Go away. How do I make it go away? Yeah, because in going, I've driven and ridden across Texas, Oklahoma, that whole area a few times, and there's nothing but miles and miles of miles and miles, just nothing. Open land, scrub brush, fields, just there's, unfortunately, you are correct. There's just no telling where he could be. Thank you so much, Miss Doodle. There is the link to Frank Meister's channel. Once again, I apologize once again for leaning. Frank Meister has another channel. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I didn't know about that one. Oh wait, is that the same one? I thought you said his other channel. Never mind. Miss PJ is confusing me tonight. Yeah, Julie says that dad knows what happened to Vincent. I wonder what the police found that made them convinced that he was deceased. I wonder the same thing, because I'm not going to go back, but it said in either the article or Charlie Project that the law enforcement said that they had something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing, clear evidence or something to that nature that leads them to believe that he is deceased. Of course, they're going to hold that information close and not let it out, so just in case. So maybe it's not enough to get, the probable cause to get the search warrant or to get the arrest warrant. Maybe they're just keeping that to themselves so they can try to build the case and try to find more evidence, so they can get an arrest warrant, make an arrest. I'm just assuming. I'm hoping that that's the case. Yes, Stormy says a lot of land in Texas. Absolutely. Yes, it is huge. That would be, I would like to do, damn it. Stormy says, I go to a bunch of ghost towns. Thank you, Miss Stang. I don't know why I just start using my styles. No, you're fine. You're fine, PJ. Channel links can be shared as many times as they can. Chris says Little Vincent's case is one that he is very familiar with. Excellent. Yep. Miss Paula says 2015 wasn't that long ago. Yeah, 10 years now. 10 years. Okay, I think I'm caught up. So, yeah, Julie said she wishes she could see all of those ghost towns. Me too. Me too. Okay, so this other article came up. It is from kwch.com. It is from May of 2018. It says nearly 3 years have passed with no sign of Vincent Moore. The 4-month-old was last seen in July 2015 with his father, Gary Moore Jr. Lieutenant Todd O'Gill with the Homicide Division of the Wichita Police Department says it was late in the evening at the time we started interviewing all of the family members. He remembers the night he started working Vince's case. He says it was 19 days after he was last seen. And the lieutenant says that is very difficult to get into something where a child has been missing for 3 weeks, and then you're called in and trying to locate them. So yeah, they were basically almost a month behind. Not their fault at all. Eyewitness News spoke to Vincent's mom, Michelle Mendez. At the time, she told us, or told them, that she dropped off Vincent and his 2-year-old brother with their dad on June 5th for a weekend visit. And after that, she says she could not find him after that. Police say that little Vincent's dad, Gary, took the kids to Texas, but came back to Wichita around July 9th. A neighbor did report seeing Vincent with his dad on July 11th in the 3100 block of South Hydraulic. 2 weeks later, Moore was stopped and arrested on unrelated warrants, and the 2-year-old was with him. So the 2-year-old brother was with him, but Vincent was not. And Michelle says, I guess he had been telling people I had the baby, and she didn't have the baby. Gary Moore agreed. The father did agree to talk to this news outlet from jail 2 months after Vincent's disappearance. And we asked what he thought happened to Vincent. And he said, talking about Michelle, the mom, he says, quote, I think she just has him stashed away. So he's turning the blame back to the mom, because he claimed that, after he came back from Texas, and I gave Vincent back to mom, and the mom's like, no, I haven't seen him. And so now he's saying the mom just stashed the little Vincent away somewhere. So Moore told this outlet that he dropped Vincent off with Michelle after returning from Texas. They also asked if he thought Vincent was alive. And Gary, the father, says he better be. That's all I want to think about. Police say at this point that unfortunately baby Vincent is probably no longer with us. The lieutenant says, we believe Vincent is no longer with us, and that is why the case has remained with the homicide section. The outlet asked if there's evidence pointing to Vincent's homicide. The lieutenant says, we don't know how he passed away. That's a problem with this case. We know he disappeared. There are theories out there, and we're still looking at them, but we don't have any evidence how he died or where he is at this time. So some people believe that little Vincent is still alive, which would be the ideal situation. Police say that finding him will take some new piece of information. And once again, anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers at 316-267-2111. Call the Wichita Police Department. So once again, they could just be saying that because they just don't want to let, if they do have any specific evidence that gives them cause to believe that little Vincent is no longer with us, to use it for any kind of future prosecution. But it just makes me wonder what they do or don't have. But at any rate, sad situation. Absolutely. All right, let me get caught up on your comments once again, and then we'll move on to the next one. If I can get a drink without spilling it here. Okay, there's where I was at. I would love to go do that. Stormy says she does urban exploring and takes photos. Yes, because I'm all about some abandoned, just any kind of abandoned places, towns, amusement parks, just anything abandoned and old. The creepier, the better. I've always been just very fascinated with that. Stormy says she finds really cool stuff. See, that's the confusing part. So Julie says, I love updates. Like, did they get divorced? Did she get the other child back? So let me go back to his, I believe it said DCS, Department of Child Services, ended up taking the 2-year-old away from her. It is very confusing about, I don't know if there's 2 orders of protection, because baby Vincent disappeared in July of 2015. So then it says in August of 2015, which was about a month after Vincent disappeared, Gary, the father, was sentenced to a year in jail for violating his probation. He had failed to pay his court costs. He cut off the tracking device before he traveled to Texas. He had also married the mother, Michelle, in February of 2015, and that was in violation of the no contact order. But then it says he pleaded guilty to tampering with taking the device off. He was sentenced to additional time in prison. According to court documents, it says Michelle, the mother, was concerned for the safety of their children when they were in Gary's care. She filed for a protective order on June 18th, which was 2 weeks after she last saw the boys. So is that a different protective order? Because he was arrested in August of 2015 for breaking the protective order, because apparently he and the mom got married in February of 2015, and that was what violated the no contact order. So I'm wondering, did she have 2? It's very, like I said, this is very, very confusing. So that's when she filed for a protective order on June 18th, 2 weeks after she last saw the boys. In her application, that's when she said, that Gary had never intentionally hurt Vincent or the brother, but stated that Gary was rougher than he intends to be, and that he tried to use the children to control her, and she thought that it was only a matter of time before he hurt one or both of the children. So in August of 2015, the Kansas Department of Child Protective Services removed Vincent's brother from Michelle's custody and placed him in foster care. Then that's when it said at a child in need of care hearing held in October, DCF officials said there was, quote, clear and convincing evidence that Vincent is deceased. So I'm very confused. So was there 1 protection order, 2 protection orders? If she was scared of that he was gonna, obviously this is, in my opinion, a DV situation. Why would she marry him I mean, if she had the no contact order and she married him, once again, I've never been in that situation. I know people who have been in DV situations. So definitely not judging or blaming or shaming, but I'm just confused if there's two separate protection orders or not. All right. Let me get back caught up right quick. Do you know what he was previously charged with? Yeah, I don't know. Did it say? The only thing, it says he was arrested at a traffic stop for things unrelated to Michelle or the boys. Now, in 2014, he had been sentenced to probation for misdemeanor battery on Michelle. So that's when he was ordered to pay the court cost, report to the probation officer, wear the GPS tracking device. Okay, maybe I'm not as confused as I was earlier. No, but she still married him in February of 2015. 2014, he had been sentenced for the misdemeanor battery on her. Okay. There's Josh. Hello, Josh the Posh. Where Lavender Grows. That is Josh's channel. The purple has arrived. Just got out of class. Welcome, Josh. Good to have you here, my friend. I was just saying earlier, I went back and finished watching the second live stream that you did, and watched the third one, and I'm so intrigued about these cases. In my opinion, I'm trying not to give too much away because I want people to go over there and watch all three of your live streams that you did. In my opinion, those three cases are connected somehow. Just don't know how. I have my ideas. But anyway, thank you, Josh, for being here. Please do check out Josh the Posh. Go watch his live streams. I'm telling you, you'll be sucked in with these cases. Okay, so Chris says he was required to wear the ankle bracelet for the misdemeanor battery charge on Michelle. Yep, Ms. Z says something seems odd with this situation. Yeah, see, it says, and I'm not completely writing the mom off as not having anything to do with it. I mean, because obviously we don't know for sure. She says she passed a polygraph, I believe, but once again, we know they are unreliable. So I don't know. And the other brother, the 2-year-old, was taken from her custody and placed in foster care in August of 2015. So something to consider. Josh says he's making something to eat. Not sure how long I'll last tonight. That's fine. I completely understand, Josh. Just getting caught up. Yep. I thought you'd said in your the third live stream that you would be traveling. Josh says he'll be traveling for a bit for work and pleasure, so he'll be sparse for a little while. You enjoy yourself. John says the dad knows what and could have the baby or could have given the baby to a friend or family member and taken him out of state. That is also a possibility. Absolutely. Okay. I'm caught up again. Oh, I was trying to mark that so I know where I was at. Okay. Oh, sorry. So next we have another little one. Oh, this little face too. Oh my goodness. Oh, so turn my camera back on. This is little Jaquilla. Jaquilla Yvonne Scales. She's missing since September 5th, 2001 from Wichita. She was just 4 years old when she went missing. She's a black female, 3 feet tall, 40 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. Her nickname is Granny Boo. I think that's so cute. It says that her upper teeth are decayed. She has a brown birthmark on the left side of her face and a scar on her upper right leg. And she was last seen wearing a knee-length floral nightshirt and tan hair barrettes. So Jaquilla was last seen in her bed in Wichita, Kansas, in the 1600 block of North Volusia Street near 15th and Hillside Streets at approximately 12:30 a.m. on September 5th, 2001, and she was discovered missing at around 3 a.m. After that, she has never been seen again. There were no signs of forced entry to the residence, no indication of a struggle, and the family's dog had not barked. Now, it depends on, a lot of people make it, the dog didn't bark, so that means that, well, it can mean a variety of things. It can mean that your dog just didn't bark. Maybe the dog was asleep. Maybe the dog knew the person, or maybe the dog was not the kind of dog that would bark if somebody unknown came into the house. Because some people, and I'm by no means an expert on dogs, although I love all critters, but I am a cat person. But not all dogs bark at strangers, and that's just, I think the misconception that some people have is that, if a dog, or if a stranger comes onto your property or into your house, that the dog doesn't know, the dog is automatically going to go crazy. That can be the case. The dog will bark and possibly attack, or the dog may be scared and run and hide and not make a sound. So the dog, is neither here nor there, in my opinion. The dog barking or not barking. Just my opinion. So the dog didn't bark. The back door was broken at the time of Jaquilla's disappearance and could not be locked. Jaquilla lived with her mother, Eureka Scales, Eureka's 2-year-old son, 2 uncles, and Jaquilla's maternal great-grandmother, Maddie Mitchell. They all lived together in the same house at the time of Jaquilla's disappearance. She had no contact with her father because Eureka was only 14 years old when she gave birth to her daughter. She asked that Maddie, which would have been little Jaquilla's grandmother, to have custody. She wanted Maddie, the grandmother, to have custody. So Jaquilla had started preschool the day before her disappearance. That night, her mother was staying with a friend, and Maddie, the grandmother, had she was in charge of the children. So social workers had removed Jaquilla's younger brother from the home and placed him in the custody of the Kansas Department of Social and Rehabilitation Services shortly after Jaquilla disappeared. So now, just like little Vincent's case, we have other children that, after one child disappeared, other children in the house were removed from the house and put into foster care or the DHS care. And this was apparently due to concern about the living conditions in the residence and Jaquilla's disappearance. So the boy was not returned to his mother's care until August of 2004, almost 3 years later. Eureka and her son now live a few blocks away from Jaquilla's former home. Police are not sure whether or not Jaquilla was abducted, so they're saying she could have been abducted, but it could also maybe have been somebody in the residence. That's just what I'm assuming once again. Her mother believes that she is still alive. Eureka said her daughter was very talkative in 2001. She liked to wear colorful barrettes in her hair. Her favorite toy was a doll that could turn over by itself. And the case obviously is unsolved. So once again, if you have any information, you can call the Wichita Police Department at 316-268-4646. Let me see. I think I did have a couple of articles. Hopefully they will load in a timely manner. And hopefully it won't throw me behind a paywall. So this first one is from the Wichita Eagle. It is from August. Excuse me. Once again. I apologize once again for the scratchy. It's from August of 2018. Please don't throw me behind a paywall. So it says Jaquilla Scales, who was Jaquilla's mother, held her baby tightly in her arms. She did not want to take her eyes off 7-pound, 6-ounce Jaquilla Yvonne Scales. The nurses at Via Christi on St. Francis would ask if they could take the baby so that the mother could rest. She would not let them. She liked waking up and knowing that Jaquilla was there. Scales was a child herself back then, and there she was having a baby of her own. Jaquilla would be as old today as her mother was the day she gave birth to her, which was at 14 years old. It's been 10 years since Jaquilla vanished in the middle of the night from a home on North Volusia wearing a flowered nightgown and tambourets in her hair. She has spent more time on Knickknack's radar than she ever spent in her mother's arms. So the last time that her mother saw her daughter was September 3rd, 2001. It was a Monday, Labor Day that year. After they woke up, Scales got her 4-year-old daughter dressed in purple shorts and a purple, pink, and white shirt. Purple was Jaquilla's favorite color. So if you guys want to put purple hearts in the chat, that would be awesome. The little girl with a birthmark on the left side of her face loved brightly colored barrettes and a doll that could roll over by itself. The family called Jaquilla Grammy Boo because her mother remembers she had an old woman's spirit. And she was bossy, apparently. We've all known them bossy 4-year-olds. And it says that she loved to talk. She was always smiling. She was just a very happy little girl. So Jaquilla and her mom lived with Eureka, the mother's mother, Maddie, and 2 uncles in a small ranch house at 1618 North Volusia. And Jaquilla's dad was not in the picture. So I hate to sound, I do have questions about the 2 uncles. Once again, not saying, but. So Jaquilla's grandparents had raised, keeps giving just the last names. So Eureka's grandparents had raised Eureka after her mother passed away from sickle cell anemia when she was 8 years old. Mitchell, who is the grandmother, or Big Mama, as they called her, ran the house. Eureka said her grandmother had custody of Jaquilla because she was so young. It says that Eureka had another baby by this time, a 2-year-old boy, and she and the children had their own room in the back of the house. So that Labor Day, Jaquilla asked if she could go over to her aunt's house. And she said, so Jaquilla asked if she could go over to her aunt's house. And Eureka, the mother, told her to go ask Big Mama, her grandmother. So Jaquilla came back, said that her grandmother was asleep, and Eureka told her to go ahead. So Jaquilla was starting preschool the next day, and Eureka told her aunt to get Jaquilla back by that night. So Eureka took her son next door to his grandmother's and walked over to a friend's house at 13th and Grove. She stayed at her friend's house that night and the next. Sorry, ads are popping up. And she says she regrets that at the time this article was written. Jaquilla, she said, went to preschool the next day, or the day before she disappeared. So early on Wednesday, September 5th, 2001, police knocked on the door of Scales, Eureka's friend's house. They asked if she had Jaquilla. She said no. They asked her if she knew where Jaquilla was. She says she thought she knew. But Mitchell, the grandmother, Maddie, had called 911 to say that Jaquilla was gone, was missing. So records from the 911 call at 4:06 a.m. that Wednesday, said that Maddie advised she just woke up and one of her grandchildren was missing. Jaquilla, 4 years old and about 40 pounds, had last been seen around 9:30 p.m. at bedtime. This is according to the 911 report. The story back then, it says, was that Jaquilla had been asleep in a bed with Maddie, her grandmother, and her little brother, Marcus. Scales, Eureka said that she had heard a different version of the night, that they were asleep, that Mitchell had been in the bathroom when Jaquilla disappeared. So efforts to interview Maddie for this article were unsuccessful. The dispatcher said that Maddie reported that she had custody of the girl and was, quote, not sure if her mother would have snuck in and took the child. Maddie identified the mother as Eureka, said she was 19, and told dispatchers that she, quote, normally stays in the area of 13th and Grove. Maddie told 911 that she had checked that area. There were a lot of people in and out of Jaquilla's life, but none of them knew where she was. So Maddie told Eureka that someone came in the back door and took Jaquilla. Eureka, the mom, says she couldn't imagine that. So a child named Bebe was always tied up by the back door. The door was broken. That was the back door we talked about earlier. It was broken. It didn't lock. Now, she says that the dog would bark at anyone. He would bark at Eureka. He was her dog. So apparently this was a dog that would bark at anybody. There were no signs of a struggle at the house. There was no blood. They said rumors began to circulate. Some people thought a family member had taken Jaquilla, hoping to give her a better life. There were suggestions that Jaquilla might have been SA'd, and whoever was hurting her took her to shut her up. Some people thought that she'd been sold. Police did question the mother, Eureka. They gave her the polygraph. They questioned her aunt's husband, her grandmother, the people next door. They basically were questioning everybody, as they should. Eureka, her mother, said that she had, quote, seen this type of stuff on TV, but I never thought that it could happen to me. Police and the state took away her son, concerned about living conditions at the home. And Eureka says, what else is going to get taken away from me? She says she went into a depression. She shut everyone out. She just holed up in a room. She wanted to give up. Once again, I'm trying to get ads out of the way. So Lieutenant Roy Mitchell was starting his first day in charge of the Wichita Sedgwick County Exploited and Missing Child Unit. He wasn't new to detective work, but he had not run an investigation like this before. The Virginia native, who never lost his southern drawl, initially sent his sergeant out on the call. Then he sent out more people. He says we threw more resources, even more resources at it. There was quite a search in the neighborhood. And soon, and pretty much everyone on the 6th floor of City Hall, where detectives work, was on the case. Doug Nolte had just been promoted to lieutenant as the night investigations supervisor. Lieutenant Ken Landwehr, head of homicide, called him to say that the little girl was missing. Nolte was told to stick with Landwehr instead of working nights. So Nolte kept thinking there would be a phone call from someone who said, hey, I have her. I found her somewhere, whatever the story would be. But investigators had contacted enough people that did not seem likely. Police searched on foot, by air, in the water. The ground search for Jaquilla was massive and included Grove Park, the Big Ditch, and fields near 33rd and Hillside. The neighborhood was gridded off with officers walking shoulder to shoulder. They tried to put themselves in the mind of a 4-year-old girl. If she had just walked off, which seemed unlikely, where might she have gone? So they searched all day, all night. The community wanted to help. They called the police with possible sightings, alleged sightings of Jaquilla. The police will go out like they did. Apparently, somebody called in and said they saw her at a Burger King. But this girl was much younger than Jaquilla. A woman called to report that she'd found a teddy bear and 4 children's VHS tapes at 15th and Poplar Streets. That didn't have anything to do with Jaquilla's case either, unfortunately. The Saturday after Jaquilla disappeared, hundreds of people walked to neighborhoods, fields, parks, looking for the little girl whose face had been plastered on flyers. Searchers wore, the orange vest, yellow ribbons, police dogs. They had police dogs. The owner of a horse ranch offered 3 horses so searchers could probe creeks, underbrush. They had a helicopter. Volunteers lined up to scour fields, pushing through sunflowers 8 feet tall. I did not realize sunflowers could get to 8 feet tall. Still, unfortunately, no sign of Jaquilla. Then September 11th happened. It says there's never been another case like Jaquilla's for Wichita police. There have been other missing children, such as 9-year-old Nancy Shoemaker, who was kidnapped, essayed, and her life was taken, but their cases have been solved. Jaquilla's case remains open. Roy Mitchell, who left police work and now runs a trucking company in Virginia, thinks about Jaquilla from time to time. And when she went missing, his oldest daughter wasn't yet 1 year old, and his son was 2.5. He says, you think, what if that was mine? You go places and you do not let kids out of your sight. You teeter on paranoia. And that's unfortunately, we hate to have to think we have to live in fear and paranoia, but, it's better to be safe than sorry. So he won't talk about what he thinks happened to Jaquilla. Police developed suspects, but they won't talk about them. He says it was a missing kid case and a set of bad circumstances. Nolte, who was another one of the investigators, doesn't know if Jaquilla is deceased or still alive. Other investigators are sure that she is not with us anymore. He says, for me, it's just easier not to close that door, to think that she is deceased. The statistics are against finding Jaquilla alive. 10 years is a long time. Jaquilla's picture remains tucked under the visor of 2 detectives' cars today, and police are about to update DNA samples for databases. And Ralph, one of the investigators, says hope rarely correlates with statistics. So talking about one of the neighbors was talking about he remembered when Jaquilla went missing. He remembered police blocking off the road, coming to his house. They looked in small spaces, or they actually came into his house, looked into small spaces and cabinets under tables. They searched the backyard. He said there were a lot of stories back then about what could have happened to Jaquilla. Pruitt admits that he doesn't think of her much. He said it was just another day. It was sad, but there's never been a body come up. I think he's saying there's never been a body found. So Eureka, her mother, Jaquilla's mother, visits her paternal grandmother, Pearlie Mae Muldrow. They say Jaquilla isn't dead to them. They do keep hope. God gives them the hope, but Eureka worries that if Jaquilla came home, she would not recognize her as her mother. And her paternal grandmother said yes, she would recognize you. Eureka says, my life has not been the same. They take something very precious from me, and I did not do anything to anybody. I was 14 when I had her. I had to hurry up and grow up and learn how to take care of a baby. So she did get her son back many years ago. He is 12 and lives with her. She says it's hard raising him, but she tries, she tries her best. He thinks that she is overprotective. It says they do live a few blocks south of the house where Jaquilla disappeared from. Eureka worries that Jaquilla would judge her and think that she did not do enough to find her. For a while, she lived in New York. She says she had to get away, and she has not spoken to the police in a few years. There's a matter of factness about Eureka, who is now, or at the time this article was written, 29. This seems to hint at what she's been through. Many people think she's strong, but she's just good at keeping everything bottled up inside. That's what she said. She'd like to get counseling. She would like to hire a private investigator to help find Jaquilla. She says she thinks of her girl when she goes to sleep, when she wakes up, and when she's at work at the nursing home. She says, my cousin has 5 kids, and she's got 3 daughters, and I tell her, I know it's hard to raise them, but thank God that you even have yours, because mine is out there, and I don't even know where mine is at. Breaks my heart. She says, every day you should hug them, kiss them, and tell them you love them, because you don't know what will happen the next day. So Miss Muldrow, who is Jaquilla's paternal great grandmother, says, I feel like somebody has her. I feel like she's coming home. I just pray that I will still be alive when this happens. They both pray that someone will speak up about what happened to Jaquilla. Let's say if you have her, they say just let her go, let her come home. It's heartbreaking. So what do you guys think? I know I've got to get caught up in your comments. I think I had one other article, maybe a more recent article. Once again, if it'll come up. So this one is also from the Wichita Eagle from 2022. It might just have the same information. Yeah, I think it has the same information. But the Wichita Police Department is obviously still asking the public for any information that may lead to her whereabouts. Trevor Macy, who's the police spokesperson, said the Wichita Police Department has not forgotten about Jaquilla. We are still seeking answers in her case. Around 50 law enforcement officers and dozens of other people searched for her for days. We talked about all that. So that's basically just. And the smaller picture on the slide is an age progression to, let me see. Once again, waiting for it to come up. Is an age progression to what she would look like at 24. And she would be 28 as of this year, 2025. All right, let me get caught up in your comments, and then we will move on to the next one. Thank you for all the purple hearts. Oh, okay, there's where I was at. Yeah, that was so cute. Granny Boo, called her Granny Boo because they said she was an old soul and she was bossy. She was bossy, you know. Like we've never met any bossy little 4-year-olds, right? Oh, that little face. Oh my goodness. Yep. CJK says this one bothers me so much. Absolutely. See, I don't know because we don't blame, shame, family members around here. I'm sure they thought, but there's a lot of people living in that house. I mean, Jaquilla lived there with her mother Eureka, with Maddie, the grandmother who actually had custody or was the legal guardian of Jaquilla. The 2-year-old, her 2-year-old brother lived there. 2 uncles lived there, and they did take. Social workers did remove the younger brother, the 2-year-old brother, from the home, placed him in custody of the Kansas Department, I'm assuming DHS, basically, after Jaquilla disappeared due to concern about living conditions in the residence and about Jaquilla's disappearance. And he was not returned to Eureka, the mother, until August of 2004, which is almost 3 years later. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just. Yeah, talking about the dogs. Miss Farr says, I got 2 that will bark and 3 that couldn't care less. Yeah, see, with dogs, you never know. But it did say, I think in that article, Eureka, the mother, said that the dog would basically bark at anybody. So if that's true, that would kind of I don't know, make me lean towards maybe somebody from the house. I don't know. And they said that the dog was tied up by the back door. The back door was broken. The back door wouldn't lock. So I don't know. I don't know. See, Sleuthy's Stormy says my dogs go crazy when they're in their cages. Yep. What my neighbor was acting crazy, climbing the fence. Long story. Only one barked at him. The other 2 didn't do anything. Yeah. So yeah, dogs are just, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an expert on dogs. I have cats, but dogs are, unpredictable. Yes. Once again. Oh, thank you for the purple hearts. Yes, there was a huge search party. Yep. I knew Josh would like the purple. Yep. Yep. Miss Z says she walked away for a moment and came back to purple hearts. Yes. Little Jaquilla's favorite color was purple. So I just asked everybody to put purple hearts in the chat for little Jaquilla. Yeah. Yeah. CJK says not much was said about the uncles. See, I was gonna say I'm not blaming. I have questions. I don't know. But there had to be something. It might not have had anything to do with the uncles, but just the general living conditions in the house to make them take the 2-year-old out of the house and put him in DHS care for a length of time for 3 years. There had to be something, there. I mean, once again, it might not have had anything to do with the uncles, but that did say it had to do with the conditions and with Jaquilla's disappearance. So that just leads me to believe there might be something somewhere. Josh says Mitchell the brother. Was Mitchell the brother? No, Mitchell. I don't know. I don't think it said what the little boy's name was. Mitchell was Maddie Mitchell was Jaquilla's a maternal great grandmother, and she actually had was the legal guardian of Jaquilla, because Eureka had Jaquilla when she was 14 years old, and apparently Maddie, who had been Eureka's grandmother, raised her because Eureka's mother passed away. I think when Eureka was 8 from sickle cell anemia, I believe. Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's another case that Josh mentioned. Says this is reminding me of the Aisha degree, just about the same time period in North Carolina. Yes, that case. Yeah, and there was some updates in that case here a while back. In Aisha's case, they found some DNA with with that family, but I haven't really heard anything since then about that. Yes, Stormy says the littles break my heart. Mine too, ma'am. Yep, Stormy says children just don't vanish. Absolutely. Chris says the state foster system in Kansas isn't that great at all. And Chris, I believe, is from Kansas, so he would know. Yeah. I think there are, but you could say that also, unfortunately, about a lot of foster care systems in a lot of states, unfortunately. Yep. See, that's what I'm saying. CJK says this is bizarre. The dog did not bark. The door doesn't lock. Who came in that the dog knew, or who took her out that the dog knew? Absolutely. Josh says he has family all over Kansas, even in Wichita. Absolutely, Miss Paula. Absolutely. Yep. I can get it to come up. There it is. Josh says, I can only imagine the guilty emotions her mother's going through. I know. Just can't imagine. I mean, the poor mom. I mean, she had her so young. She was 14 years old when she had her, so she was, a baby herself. And I just can't imagine. Can't imagine. And she had gone to a friend's house to stay, and she was what 19 when Jaquilla disappeared. So she was still, a teenager. She was still a kid herself. She just went stay at a friend's house, and her daughter disappears. No, I don't think she was actually adopted, but the great grandmother was her legal guardian. Her mother, she had no contact with her father, with her biological father. And it says because the mother Eureka was only 14 years old when she gave birth to Jaquilla, she asked Maddie, which was her grandmother, to have custody of Jaquilla. So Jaquilla's great grandmother actually had custody of her, but they all lived in the same house. In the same house. Yep. CJK says it's just extremely sad. Kids don't just vanish, even though it looks like they do. Absolutely. Oh, Miss Paula and her Cheerios. Now I want some Cheerios. I don't know. That's the question. Miss Farr says, so she was not taken out of the back door, I wonder? I don't know. They just mentioned that, the back door didn't lock. So anybody could have gone in and out of it, but that is true. Does not necessarily mean that she was taken out of that back door. So that would also kind of give why the dog didn't bark. She could have gotten up and wandered into a different room, or somebody could have just came into the room. And I don't know how close the room was to the back door. It would be nice to have a layout of the house to see where everything is. She could have been taken out an entirely different door, and the dog might not have seen her or who took her or anything, and that's why the dog didn't bark. Absolutely. Yeah, Ms. Z says that is a lot of people living there with no one seeing anything. So sad for the babies. I wonder if the mom moved out to get custody back of her son. It's possible. I did not think about that, but yeah. But she did get the boy, the 2-year-old son, back in 2004, 3 years after Jaquilla disappeared. And see, and then the Trolley Project, it says police are not sure whether or not Jaquilla was abducted. So that kind of leads me to think that they, think that maybe somebody in the house had something to do with it. That's just my opinion. That's just what I'm speculating. Yeah, CJK says you would think if she was left in a farmer in a field at some point, her remains would have been found. You would think, but sometimes remains are very, very hard to find. That is true. That might have had something to do with why they removed the other child. Miss Z says you also don't know who the friends of the brother or uncles were that could have been going in and out of the house too. Absolutely. Because there was something going on in that house, or the conditions in the residence and Jaquilla's disappearance were what made them remove the 2-year-old from the house and put him in DHS care. So something was going on somewhere with somebody. Yep. Josh says her mother passed. Yes. Eureka's mother, which would have been Jaquilla's grandmother, passed away of sickle cell anemia. I believe it said when Eureka was 8. So it would have been Jaquilla's. So Eureka was living with Big Mama, which was Maddie Mitchell, which was her grandmother, and Jaquilla's great grandmother. Yep, Josh says the door is bothering him. Me too. I don't know. I mean, if it didn't lock, anybody could come or go. Yeah, CJK says if the uncles had friends going in and out, they would know that she lived there. The dogs may not bark at them. Just a thought. That's a good thought. That is an excellent point. Oh, sorry, everything jumped. Thank you, Stormy, for being here, dear. She says, I'm going to bed. Have a good night, everyone. You too, my dear. Please do check out Miss Stormy. Nope, I did not have that one. Josh says, did that article you read in the Wichita Eagle have the John Walsh interview about Jaquilla? I don't think so. It might. Let me see. It might have, because that first one was really long. I just kind of scanned through the last of it. Let me scroll back down really quick. So I had an interview with one of the neighbors back then that said that he allowed one of the neighbors allowed the police to come in to look in his house just to see if Jaquilla had just wandered out of the house on her own. They came in the house, looked under cabinets, under tables, searched the backyard. I don't think this article I had anything from John Walsh. See, that's also could very well have happened too. Julie says, or did she just go outside, past the dog, and something happened outside of the house? That is entirely possible. Entirely possible. because if that door wouldn't lock, she could have opened that back door, or she could have gone out if any of the other doors either didn't lock or were not locked at the time. She could have just wandered out by herself and either gotten lost and succumbed to the elements, or had had an accident, or somebody could have seen her out by herself and snatched her. That's also another possibility. Yep, Miss Paula agrees. Where's Miss Paula? There she is. Yep. But I still just go back to the police had to have some kind of reason to remove that other child from the house. So that leads me to believe there's something going on in the house that to make them, because let's face it, I mean, DHS doesn't, I mean, I haven't had many in dealings with DHS, but they're not just going to go in a house and remove a child for no reason, basically. I mean, for one, you got to have some kind of reason, or two, they if it's like Chris said, you do have DHS, unfortunately, systems that just don't, not that they don't care necessarily, but they're just so overworked and understaffed that they're just not going to make unnecessary work for themselves by removing a child from a house unless they had just really, really good reason to. I mean, this is just my opinion, my thoughts, but that's just how I look at it. Okay, I think I am caught up. Mark there, and we will move on to the next. Oh, shoot. Hold on, I pushed the wrong button. Oh, my goodness. One second. Okay. Jeez. Once again. Oh, now I'm going backwards. Oh, goodness. There we go. I think I'm on the right one now. Once again, I apologize. I'm working off my phone. All right. So this is Ricky Lynn Nelms. Sorry. Turn my camera back on. He has been missing since February 1st, 1988 from Wichita. He was 20 years old when he went missing. He's a white male. He was 5'9", 115 pounds with brown hair. Doesn't say what color eyes. Not a lot of information in the Trolley Project. So he left his parents' Moulton, Alabama home in January of 1988 to travel to Wichita with a friend named Jerry Wayne Trestle to take a job as a roofer. So his parents last had a contact with him when he called home sometime in February of 1988. So he told them when he called that he was involved in some kind of court case. His family does not know the full story, but they think it involves cars somehow. Maybe stealing and selling of cars. I'm not sure. So he said that he was going to go to court, and that if he did not get sentenced to jail, that he was going to go home and take care of his young son. So after that, he has never been seen or heard from again. They say it was not unusual for him to be out of touch with his family for months at a time. So he was not reported missing until July 18th of that year. So the last contact they had was in February of 1988, and he wasn't reported until July. So about 4 months later. So this Jerry Wayne Trestle, which is the friend that he went to Kansas with to take this job as a roofer, is currently in prison, serving 25 years to life for the homicide of Franklin Herod. So Mr. Herod was a Kansas man who disappeared in 1997. His body has never been found. And it says in 2023, Mr. Trestle began cooperating with the police, and he apparently admitted to responsibility for burying both this Franklin Herod and Mr. Nelms here, Ricky. So authorities are trying to find the bodies of both men, Mr. Herod and Ricky. Tressel stated that they were buried close by each other in a rural area in southern Butler County, Kansas. So if Kansas is anything like Texas and Oklahoma, it's got miles and miles and miles and miles of nothing, fields, land. So unfortunately, there is no telling. So if you have any information on this case, you can call the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office at 256-974-9291, or the Butler County Sheriff's Office at 316-322-4254. I think had a couple of articles. So this first one is from well, is it not an article? Or is it the video? Well, okay. Nothing came up on that one. Hold on. Let me see what the other one says. Waiting for it to come up. Okay, so this one is an interview with his sister. And this is from June of 2024, so not too long ago. And is from WAFF.com. The sister of a Moulton man who went missing in Kansas back in 1988 recently spoke out about her brother's ongoing case. Ricky L. Nelms went missing after he moved to Wichita, Kansas to work for a roofing company when he was just 20 years old. Recently, Regina Davis, who is Nelms' sister, joined in with 48 Now to share memories of her brother growing up and what she believes happened to him, and urges anyone who has information about him to come forward. If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. If you saw something, say something. So she says, my ultimate goal at the end of this is I just want my brother. I want my brother's body. I don't care what it takes to get it. I just want a body that we can bury and put some closure to this. I just want him home. Do it the right, respectable way and give him a proper burial. So she said, to anyone who has information about Ricky's case, his sister has a response. She says, just tell us where he is. That is all we're asking. Somebody knows. People in Alabama know what happened to him, why, and where he is, but they won't tell because they don't want to be involved. Authorities are offering what they call a substantial reward for information about the case. You can call the Butler County Sheriff's Office at 316-322-8817 with any information that you may have. Once again, I thought that okay, now it comes up. Okay. So this other one, that new leads emerge in Ricky Nelms' disappearance, is from December 2023. The missing persons case of Lawrence County native Ricky L. Nelms, who vanished in 1988, has recently seen renewed attention as authorities in Kansas intensify their efforts to uncover new leads. If I can get it spit out. Nelms, originally from Alabama, moved to Wichita for a roofing job and subsequently lost contact with his family, leading to an unsolved mystery. Reported missing by his mother in July of 1988, Nelms had last communicated with his family in February of that same year. Despite their initial hopes for a safe return, his mother, Kathy, eventually filed a missing persons case, sensing something was amiss. For over 3 decades, Ricky's whereabouts have remained unknown, and until recently, his case had gone cold. Excuse me. So according to law enforcement, a potential link, so this is maybe what Tressel, the guy that he went to Kansas with for the roofing job. According to law enforcement, a potential link between Nelms's case and a homicide victim, Franklin Herod Jr., also known as Punky, has emerged. Herod disappeared in 1997 under suspicious circumstances, leading to the conviction of 3 individuals in connection with his homicide, although his body was never recovered. Investigators stated that they had received a tip earlier this year from someone claiming to have buried both Nelms and Herod in close proximity to one another. So that was Mr. Tressel. He claimed that he buried both Nelms and Herod in close proximity to one another in a rural area of southern Butler County. This revelation has prompted the Butler County Sheriff's Office to conduct extensive searches in the area, employing techniques such as ground-penetrating radar. Kathy Nelms, who's Ricky's mother, has spent years grappling with the uncertainty surrounding her son's fate. She hopes that the recent developments will finally offer some answers and some peace. As the investigation continues, the BCSO remains determined to bring closure to the Nelms and Herod families. Authorities urge anyone with information about the whereabouts of Ricky Nelms to contact the Butler County Sheriff's Office, once again at 316-322-4254. So it's just what they talked about in the Charlie Project information. But I thought I'd read in some article that after this Tressel guy had initially said, yeah, I buried both the bodies, that he then went back and said that he had, I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of now, basically denied, he said he was lying, that that didn't happen. Now that could have been another case. I've been going through so many cases lately, I could have my facts mixed up. But anyway, all right. Get caught up once again. That might have been the last one we had. All righty. Let me get back to where I was. There I am. Okay, Josh says, going back to Jaquilla's case, John Walsh talks about how Jaquilla didn't get the media coverage. Yeah, because 9/11 happened like right after she disappeared, and so of course all the media was focused on that, and probably just for other reasons, probably she did not get the coverage that she needed and deserved. Also, that's just my opinion. Yeah, Ms. Z says, no, it can take a lot for DHS to do something because they are overworked. Absolutely. Hey, I'll be Frank. Good to see you. There you are. Oh, did you get one of the, oh yeah, you did get one of the gifted memberships. Yes, you can thank Miss Farr for that. See, it didn't go into detail. He just said that he had to go to court. He had told his family, let me go back to the Charlie Project information, that he, so when he last contacted his family in February of 1988, he told them that he was involved in some kind of court case. His family does not know the full story, but they believed it involved cars. So I don't know if that is, like Miss Paula says, stealing cars. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. Probably stealing cars, reselling them, parting them out, whatever. I don't know what else she would do with cars to have to go to court over. So that's what I'm thinking too, Miss Paula. Mustang says, I grew up in state's custody from 11 to 18. The system sucks in Oklahoma for sure. Yeah. I said, I think in most states, the system is just between the understaffing, the overworking. Some of them just don't care. I think for the most part, they do, but it's just they're understaffed, underpaid, overworked, and it's just unfortunately, the children who are placed in the care or the suffer for it, unfortunately. Thank you very much. Mustang, there is a Gibbos, I'll be Frank's link to his channel. No, she disappeared from the home that they were going back to. Jaquilla, Chris said, was the location where Jaquilla disappeared listed as a foster home. I wouldn't, well, I don't know. I wouldn't, I'm not going to say no, I wouldn't think so, but she was in the custody of her great grandmother. Now, I don't know if she had legal guardianship or just, but I guess since she was born, let me go back to her information. At the request of her mother, Eureka, since she was only 14 when Jaquilla was born, she requested that her grandmother, which would have been Jaquilla's great grandmother, have custody of her. But they were all living in the same house at the time that Jaquilla went missing. Jaquilla, her mother Eureka, Maddie, who was Jaquilla's great grandmother, who had custody of her at the time of her disappearance, two uncles, her 2-year-old little brother, were all living in the same house. Oh, yeah, that is a horrible thought, but true. Chris says on Jaquilla's case, she could have washed down into the Arkansas River. Yeah, and if it was just a case of her, and I don't know how close where she was living at was to the river, but I mean, if she just wandered, that, I mean, is another possibility. She just wandered out of the house. You know, we talked about it when we were talking about her case. She could have just wandered out of the house and just got lost and succumbed. So it was September when she disappeared. I don't know how warm or cold it is in September in Kansas. Or she could have fallen into a ditch, a ravine, a river, or what, you know, any manner of things could have happened to her that was just purely accidental, and they just did not find her remains. But you would think with all the searching they did that something would have been found. But then again, that, you know, we all know that doesn't always happen. Okay, so which case? Okay, so Josh says, oh, going back to, let's see if I can go back to the right one. In the Herod case, which one was that? My screen's so small, I can't see. Which one was that? So that's of baby Vincent. That's, let me see which one you're talking about. Which one was that, Josh? I've forgotten anyway. Anyway, so the love triangle thing in Herod's case is interesting. I have no idea if they are connected, except that a man in prison said they. Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah. Sorry, I had a brain fart. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, in this case, yeah, Herod was the one, or the Franklin Herod was the one that Tressel. He was convicted of. Let me go back to the right one now. Tressel was convicted, or Tressel, excuse me, is serving 25 years to life for the homicide of Franklin Herod. He was the man who disappeared in 1997. His body has never been found. Tressel began cooperating with the police and did admit to responsibility for burying both Herod and Nelms. So you're saying this was like a love triangle between those three? Or am I missing something? See, that's why Josh is like, he gets all the information. I did not find any articles that referred to that, but interesting. Interesting. Yeah, he's claiming that he only buried them, but he was convicted of the homicide of Franklin Herod, of Mr. Herod. But he only admitted to burying them, Herod and Ricky. And so far, neither, of course, obviously, neither one of the bodies has been found. But he said that, according to Tressel, he stated that both the bodies were buried close to each other in a rural area in southern Butler County, Kansas. Recanted. Thank you. That was, yes, that was the word I was looking for, Julie. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to think that Tressel recanted his statement, but once again, I could be. I think all my mental sticky notes are all jumbled up in my brain, and I could have that mixed up with another case. Oh, okay, gotcha. So Josh says the article that he was reading in the Wichita Eagle mentioned a love triangle and another woman. Ah, where do you find all these articles? I can never find the articles with this information. Or maybe some of them, though, when I go to when I find articles, they're behind a paywall, and I'm not paying for. I can't afford to pay for every article and behind paywalls. Josh says Ricky just seems to be thrown in there unless he is another love interest. Okay, gotcha. But they didn't explicitly state it. All right. Josh must have the magic touch with finding all these articles. But he is a librarian, so he does know how to research. Yeah, Mustang says every time I hear Wichita, I think BTK. Absolutely. All right, I think that is the last one we had for the night. Yes, it is. Oh, goodness, hold on. All right, so that is the last one that we had for the night. Yeah, Josh agrees. Hey, Sunday Doodles. I think that's Sunday Doodles that changed their name. Says, and the Carr brothers. Paula says, let's go to one. Oh, I can't go to one, honey. It's only 15 minutes till 11 Central Time here. So I'm trying to think. I probably won't be doing another live stream unless we do a late night one Saturday night, because Friday night me and my mom are going to see Three Dog Night again. And the Little River Band is going to be with him this time. So we're going to be going to that concert. I believe it's Friday night. Friday or Saturday? It's the 19th. Whenever the 19th is that Friday? Yep, that's Friday. So I probably won't do another live stream until our next Missing Person Monday live stream. Like I said, unless Saturday night, unless I want, get the urge to jump on here, and depends on how good the football games are. But it'll have to be like a late night, like when Dave's live streams. Oh yeah, somebody can throw in Dave's link if you wish. So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you to everybody who was in chat. Thank you all the lurkers. We love our lurkers too. Thank you to Replay Crew. Replay Crew is awesome. So I'm going to get out of here because my voice is just about gone. So everybody have a good week. Everybody be safe. Everybody be kind. Just be kind. That's all we can do. just be decent human beings to our fellow human beings. And trying to find my, once again, I will leave you. Oh yeah, once again, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment below, share it, share it, share it, share it. That's the most important thing we can do with any of our videos and live streams, is share it. That way it reaches as many people as possible. So I'm gonna leave you once again with the fur babies, with Sir Tigger and Little Biscuit, Little Boo Boo Biscuit. And I will see you guys Monday night, if not before. Thanks, guys.